With palms pressed together, please join me in Gasho. Our former bishop, Koshin Ogui, observed, "My life is not only my life. My life is made up of the countless efforts, sacrifices, and kindness of others. Let us hear the Dharma and live with clarity. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda, Namanda." Good morning. How's everybody doing? A little sleepy. Welcome to the month of March. And our own version of March Madness is well underway. Today, Giant Dawn, is the first day of daylight savings time. Reverend Matt is away with our Board of Trustees President Stuart Ito and Temple President-elect Gordon Nita. Our key three leaders are representing our Buddhist Church of Sacramento at the National Conference, Buddhist Churches of America, meeting in Phoenix, Arizona. Last weekend, our sports program, under the guidance of Division Coordinators Stacy Okino, Rod Wong, Ann and William Inoue, Brent Sasaki, Marty Matsuda, and Stephen Shimane, hosted our 48th annual Betsuing Invitational Basketball Tournament. Next week, the Sacramento Japanese United Methodist Church will host their 33rd annual basketball tournament. And today, out in the community, our Boy Scout Troop 50 is serving our community, helping to meet the needs of food insecurity for many in the annual Scouting for Food drive. You'll notice in our hallway that Girl Scout Troop 569 is in the process of wrapping up their toy and supply drive for the University of California Davis Medical Center Children's Hospital supply drive. And in our KaiCon is our second annual Sakura Matsuri Cherry Blossom Food and Vendor Fair, hosted by our Adult Buddhist Association. So you can see that without a doubt, the Buddhist Church of Sacramento is one of the most active temples in all of the Buddhist churches of America. And now, shifting back to basketball, I'd like to see a show of hands of where all of our Betsun basketball players are. We see you all out there. Very good, very good. Did you have a good tournament last week? Yeah? No? Okay, so we know who's awake today. Okay, so I want you to remember something. When you put on the red and black jersey of our temple, you represent our Betsui. And as such, we have expectations. Okay? We have expectations. We expect you to play with sportsmanship. We expect you to listen to your coach and to support your fellow players. We expect you to always do your best. We expect you to attend Dharma school. 60%, easy to make, right? And we expect you to shoot the ball. Remember, if no one shoots the ball, the best you can hope for is a 0-0 tie. So, I want you to raise your hand if you scored a basket the last game. Yeah? Okay, good. What is your name? Ella. Okay, Ella. What's your favorite position to play? Center. Okay. Got the big guns up front. Very good. Okay, Ella. I want you to think back for a moment. Okay, I want you to imagine you're in Game 3 of the weekend championship round. Okay, the tournament all comes down to this moment. The score is all tied up 30-30. There's 3 seconds remaining. Betsuin has the ball. Coach calls a timeout. Draws up a plan. Whistle blows, ball's inbounded. Ella catches the ball. She puts it on the floor for one dribble, launches the ball from deep in three-point land. Buzzer sounds. Zzz, swoosh, nothing but net. Crowd goes wild, okay? Just then, in all the celebration, you look back, you see me stand up behind the bench. I raise my arms up high, and I shout out, "Touchdown, 49ers!" Right? What would you think, Ella? What would you think? You'd probably think, what? Who is this guy? Does he even know where he is? Does he even know what he's watching? Well, in this example, you would probably think, rightly so, that I have no idea what I am seeing, that I have no idea what I am thinking, saying, or doing. And well, life can be just this way. Simply put, in this example, if our view is incorrect, so will be our thoughts, speech, and actions. Another subtle example of incorrect view is the common misconception that Buddhist practice is a religion. Each week, we are fortunate to have visits by inquisitive students of religious studies, both at the high school and the collegiate level. So for you, Dean, in today's message is both good news and bad news. The bad news is that Buddhist thought is not really a religion at all. The good news for all of us students is that you still get credit for attending today's service. So if we examine this a little bit more closely, we think about Webster's dictionary. And Webster's defines religion as a belief system. And as we have been taught, and as we continue to learn every day, as the Shakyamuni Buddha taught himself and said himself, do not believe anything simply because it is written, or even because a Buddha or a wise person may have said something so. Everything that Buddhism teaches is for us to test. Everything in Buddhism, everything in life is for us to test, for us to discover, and for us to ask, is this true? If we find that something makes sense, then why would we not apply it to our lives? If this does not make sense, then we should set it aside and perhaps re-examine this at another time. So, if a religion is considered something that requires a belief or a belief system, then Buddhism is not a religion, at least not by any Western standards. And for such reasons, the Eightfold Path, which is our vehicle that we use in order to break free of the three poisons, begins with the correct view. And you may see this if you look in our service book on page 7. One of the reminders here on the wheel of Dharma is the eight-spoke wheel to remind us that correct view is where we would like to logically and correctly begin. So generally speaking, the definition of religion that requires a belief. Well, my 5th grade Dharma school class explored this concept last week. And in other words, the concept that we discussed was that believing in something does not make it a religion. For example, if we consider the statement, I believe in gravity. I see it working all around me. I see it every moment of my life. During the Metta Padma class taught many years ago, I was challenged to test my belief. And in this example, if I get out of bed, I put my feet on the ground, and I don't float away, boom, gravity, right? True. But if one day I get out of bed and I find myself floating to the ceiling, well, then I would call into question my belief in gravity. But again, everything that Buddhism teaches, everything that the Buddha taught is for us to test. And the essentials of Buddhism are the 2 I's, right? Impermanence and interdependence. The 2 I's of Buddhism. Impermanence and interdependence. Over 2,500 years ago, the historical Buddha observed and taught that nothing in life remains the same, unchanged. Everything around us is constantly changing. And so invariably, a question will arise. If everything is impermanent, is impermanence impermanent? Well, we know that such a question is just a clever word game. And as Buddhists, we not really need to respond to this. Why? Because simply put, the teaching of impermanence is not taught for us to believe. It is taught for us to test. Is it true? And if so, then we should apply it to our lives. Among our greatest personal challenge in life is of seeing life honestly, without bias or opinion, of recognizing our human imperfections, and of seeing things just as they are. When looking upon our altar, you'll notice that conspicuously absent is the image of the Shakyamuni Buddha. Instead, the central figure of our altar is the statue of Amida Buddha. Amida, you see, Amida is the essence of Buddha's enlightenment. Rather than enshrine a figure of a person who was the historical Buddha, Prince Siddhartha, we want to focus on the essence of the Dharma. We want to focus on the meaning of truth, which would be Amida. So, Amida has infinite wisdom and immeasurable compassion, or in more accessible terms, understanding and caring, to live a life of understanding and caring. And again, this is why the first of the Eightfold Path begins with correct view. When we start with the correct view, then the correct thoughts, correct speech, and correct actions can only but follow. And that when we awaken to this truth, that life is constantly changing, that our lives are interdependent, and our lives are impermanent, that we have the opportunity, the chance to live the best life that we possibly can. So, in closing, with palms pressed together, please join me in Dassho. As has been taught, and as we will learn every day of our lives, my life is not only my life. My life is made up of the countless efforts, sacrifices, and kindness of others. Let us strive to hear the Dharma and live with clarity. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda.